Yeah, what's up? What's up? We got the deployer here. 0x deployer is in the house. How you doing, man? How you feeling?
Feeling good, man. So if I move this window around, like
Yep.
people see it. People see it. They see what we see.
Yep, exactly.
This is cool. This
You know
is
what I was
cool.
thinking? I was thinking we would get a couple Bankr agents playing here. What do you think? Maybe GLM 5.2, pretty solid. Kimmy K3 on Bankr. We're just gonna let them run while we're talking.
They're gonna play chess,
boys. They're gonna play chess. Yep.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah, I want to click these buttons, but I don't know what they do.
There's a lot of buttons. There's a play some putt. There's a lot of good stuff here. Okay, welcome. Let's talk. I think the best way to get into it is to talk about early Bankr. Like, I feel like you've been around for like 2 years. I feel like BankrBot has been around maybe even longer. Like in my Twitter feed, what's this Bankr thing? Like way back in the day, it seems like. Yeah? No?
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, in crypto years, it's been a long time.
It's been a decade.
End of 2024 is when we launched the first version, which was like, I spun up the experiment in like a week, and after talking with my business partner, and at the time it was like just an agent that could buy coins for you in the social feed on Farcaster, in the Farcaster heyday.
Yep.
When people were making money on there from
rip rest in power Farcaster.
It had an interesting journey, didn't it?
Yes.
So and it was kind of what was going on around that time, like I'm just thinking what kind of agents we were seeing.
Shaw, right? Shaw Makes Magic was probably doing Eliza at the time, or maybe right after that. AI 16Z, maybe.
Yeah, and then there were like some Farcaster early agent experiments. What was the one called from the higher team? It was Luma. I don't know. It was basically a conversational agent on the social feed. They really just made, quips about this and that. It wasn't like super interesting, but it was new, and like people were like, "Whoa, I've never seen anything like this." And this was even before I was using AI to code. I was still writing that code by hand.
You wrote this with your fingers, like you wrote the actual lines of code with your fingers.
Wrote the code, Incredible. Wrote the framework, and it was still like at the time when I would use, like, you definitely couldn't trust AI to write your code autonomously. And when I would use it and it would work, I'd be like almost embarrassed. Like, I don't want to tell people that I didn't write this.
Yeah.
Okay. For all you know, it was me. So yeah, let's see. 2020. I mean, it hit like kind of this early product market fit on Farcaster. I mean, as much as it could. Like, I already had a following on Farcaster. I'd been doing like social experiments on Farcaster, and people were actually making money by using Bankr because people were launching coins using Clanker on the social feed. And like, if you saw it first, you just tag Bankr, it'd get you in early. And it was at the time when these coins were like pumping massively. I mean, memes on base were running to like 40, 50 million, maybe a couple billion market cap memes on base, which was insane looking back. Now, if you look at coins now and how the market is doing, it's a completely different world.
This was late 2024, right?
This was late 2024.
Early 2025.
People were still making money on these new memes, making good money too. Like, the interesting thing about that time period of like the Farcaster glory days is that it was so easy to separate the signal from the noise. Like people who were posting alpha, it was actually alpha. Whereas now it's like, it's so saturated, you know, you don't know what is really going to hit and what's not. But like then at that time period, like everybody on there was just kind of building interesting things. And like you kind of knew who was building interesting things and who was like an actual builder, you know, so it was a cool like sandbox to play around in.
It was a great place to get product market fit and early traction. You would just deploy an app, and like you said, it was like high signal. The right kinds of folks were around tinkering with things, and the right kinds of folks were building things.
Yeah, and not like just like, you know, people who had never done something before. I think like the Farcaster team had the credentials to bring in like interesting people from their network, and they brought interesting people from their network, and you actually got like people like legitimate people doing actual cool things, like real builders. And it, you know, and you know, I've been around for a while, like in the Ethereum community. You know, I remember like I got into Ethereum in like 2017. I thought it was cool. I'm like, this is cool, like programmable money, crypto kitties. Yeah. And that made a lot of sense, like just digital ownership. Like perfect. That makes perfect sense to me. You know, and I remember seeing your like tutorials early, like back in the day. Yeah.
Whoops. Where is it? There it is. There it is.
There
I wanted a heart. I don't have a heart. I need a heart.
You need, a little lobster themed heart.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you. Glad that you were doing that. Okay. So you pivoted, and I want to kind of talk about some of those pivot moments, but like there was this moment where people are talking to Bankr, telling Bankr to buy certain tokens. You've written this thing with your pingies, and it's using AI to do the things. Like these are the early days of people expressing their intent and the AI fulfilling that. You have people expressing their intent to deploy coins using Clanker. And that was probably a moment for you of like, wait a minute, like we should build deployments into this thing.
Well, you know, deployments, they came later.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the timeline here. First was swaps. That made a lot of sense. And then it became wallet. And like, so the first kind of goalpost was, I want to be able to swap, and I want to be able to auto sell, just using natural language, like saying, buy me $100 of this coin and sell it when it pumps 10x. And that was like the first like feature that I was like, okay, that's
Sonnet, Opus. Like what was the model back then?
What were we using?
It's hard to remember, man. Like you said,
it is hard to remember.
2 years in crypto is a long damn time, especially what's happened in the last 2 years.
I remember there was a ton of experimentation, like you know, experimenting with different models. When did Google Flash, Gemini Flash come out? I don't remember.
I don't know.
We used Flash for a long time. I don't even remember what was the first model we were using. I wonder if it was OpenAI model. I think it might have been.
Claude, do you know when Gemini Flash came out?
You get back to us, Claude.
Yeah, he will.
Quick assist from the transcript desk. Gemini 1.5. Flash dropped May 2024, and Gemini 2.0 Flash came right at the end that year, December. So late 2024 Bankr days, the OpenAI model everyone was building on was GPT-4o, with the 01 preview just landing that September.
Okay, pretty good. So we're probably using a GPT model and maybe Flash around that time.
But certainly not Fable.
Certainly not Fable, no.
And you probably had to have like hella skills and hella guardrails and hella safety things, because you're actually like moving money for people. It's so tricky.
So that was something like I learned immediately that if you gave ChatGPT 2 separate wallet addresses that looked the same and said, "Are these different?" it would say, "No, they're not different." So, that there were some early lessons to be learned regarding like the safe transfer of funds, how to ensure that the agent does the right thing, and a lot of those guardrails they still are valid today, even though the models are like much better. Like, I pride Bankr on having these security features that were basically learned, through fire. Basically, like losing money on like a one character change on a wallet address, or like some hallucination. So there's like hallucination guards and intent extractors. And now, the models are pretty good, and those things still exist in Bankr as additional safeguards. But yeah, a lot of trial and error, a lot of, experimenting with new models. What's the quirks of this model? What's the quirks of that model? But yeah, now it seems like we're entering an era where they're all getting pretty good. And now it's just like kind of cost and speed are the factors.
That's been a through line of a lot of Slop.Computer episodes, is this sort of like tension between effective versus efficient, and getting it to work effective first and then being more efficient about it once you have it. I'm guessing that's always something you have to deal with too, is like, okay, it works, the thing doesn't lose money, it does the swaps, but it's costing a shitload of money and we have a bunch of people using it, and basically like you're paying the gas, you're paying the inference fees. Yeah, people are getting cool things from it, but like there's nothing that like no one's doing a swap and paying the inference on top of the swap. Like they're basically just doing the swap, and the cool product that you've built is like covering that basically, right?
Yeah. So we have the default fast model, which uses the latest Gemini. And like it's pretty cost effective and it's good. And then we have max mode, where you can select your model. You pay for inference. I'm a Bankr power user with Fable under the hood, or GPT Soul 5.6. And I just pay, using credits. And like we have this built-in LLM gateway, a bunch of different models you can use. You were one of the early testers of the LLM gateway. You pay with crypto. Yeah. And so I use that. And it depends on what I'm doing. If I just like have like an easy swap or send, I'll turn max mode off and I'll just use the default model. And we do cover the costs. Like I think it's important. Like I've always thought it was important that people can just use Bankr immediately. It's like, for years and years, we spoke about like wallet UX, and I would go to conferences and there'd be whole panels on wallet UX and bringing new people to the space. They're not going to be able to use a wallet and a private key. I have my opinions on that. I don't actually agree, but realizing early on that like AI and agents were like the solution to the complex crypto UX, and not just the complex crypto UX, but like having the realization, when I started building Bankr, that agents are going to change the way we do things, and everybody's going to be using an agent at some point. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that I didn't realize like the power of agents and having AI do things for you autonomously until I started building an agent myself. That's when it really resonated how powerful this technology is, and like what it can do for humanity, and like how it's going to reshape UX and how we do things in the digital space, probably the physical space at some point. But
soon.
Yeah, definitely the digital space. And we're seeing
so
it
this
play
is
out,
early.
right?
This is 2024 when you were having these agent discoveries. I feel like
2024.
Shaw also, like, there are very few people that actually had the agent aha moment before like November of 25. Like, generally people who had the aha moment were building really cool things, and everyone was saying this is just a GPT wrapper, and they didn't really get how important it was to take the LLM and give it like an agent loop with memory and a persona. And when you do that, some like really magical things happen. And I think we're seeing it also with like entities, where it's like that is a thing, that persona that is smart and lives within a system that you already know about and use, like Slack. And I think that's when it really is starting to register with some folks. But you know, shout out for having these realizations like all the way back in 2024. Like, I was probably yelling at Sonnet, and it was just telling me you're absolutely right about everything. I was just keeping guards up on everything. Yeah, that's awesome.
Right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of early like learnings, and like I said, like coding it by hand, understanding how does the agent loop work. You know, how do you, and I'm sure there's like more agent frameworks coming out all the time, but like figuring out like, you know, context, and okay, well, we don't want to just add everything to context every time, and memory, and like tool lookup, and you know, how do we optimize for that? So, you know, it's been a few year or a couple year, you know, experiment, and like, you know, now it's grown, as you know, like into not just the agent, but like you know, an agent that can do. Hang on, did I just lose my? Can you still?
No,
hear me?
I got you. Yeah. I got you.
I think my mic is trying to connect to my phone.
Oh man, I hate when that happens.
So
my
annoying.
phone beeps, like I like hit the little microphone button, and my phone's in my pocket. Like, hey, I got you, man. I'm like, no, man, get out of here.
Yeah. Like,
all right.
Who came up with that UX? Sorry, no.
No, it's terrible. Okay, so I want to zoom in on this, and specifically like pivots, changes in the Bankr product, and how you as a founder, because I think there's a lot of founders that listen to Slop.Computer, and you know, I'm not. I'm a terrible founder. I'm still working for the man, I guess. But I think that's like, what are these moments as a founder where you realize the product needs to change, or you need to add something new? Like, I'm always adding new things to Slop.Computer, where I just like have this idea and I throw it together. But I'm guessing that like, as a founder, you've got to know like what to attack and what not to attack and what's worth it. And I'd like to kind of go through some of the big changes that happened. So, I mean, at the time, Bankr is a kind of like a chat bot that will swap for you and do sends maybe. And then like, what are some of the bigger like changes or features that happen after that? And like, what is the thought behind some of those changes? You mentioned the LLM gateway. There's a handful of other things like launching your own tokens, but even like skills and stuff you guys have added now. There's so many cool things that you have added to Bankr, and I just like to go through that timeline or talk about kind of like what you were thinking at the time and how that played out, or thesis or whatever. I don't know. You take.
Yeah. So the beginning, it could just swap coins for you. It would hold it in, you know, some wallet. And I think maybe you interacted with that wallet through like a Farcaster frame. But, you know, had the realization, okay, well, you know, to make this more powerful, people need to be able to manage like a whole wallet, and you need to be able to, you know, have that baseline wallet functionality. And so we built a terminal around it, and you could see all of your assets, and you could chat with Bankr, and you could see your activity. So we got that baseline wallet functionality in with the natural language, accomplished that goal that I mentioned where it had limit orders. I think we implemented cow swap to start. So you could do the buy $100 and sell it when it pumps 10x. And so that was kind of the first thing. And then it stayed that for a while. I think like most of 2025, it was the same kind of terminal UI, and we added some additional integrations. Like we added Avantis for perps. We added polymarket support, and these integrations still exist in Bankr today. What else did we add? Like NFT support.
It's like the long tail of wallet shit. There's just so much.
The long tail of wallet shit. Yeah. And
okay, so you said frames, but it like Twitter is where it really took off, right?
Yeah. So we expanded out of Farcaster onto Twitter, and people were at this time we had integrated Clanker under the hood to deploy coins. And people were deploying coins on X, in 2025, but it wasn't like the main thing we were focused on. We got some runners, like I think probably the biggest runner in 2025 was DRB. Just the narrative with Grok, somebody suggesting Grok and Grok saying, their suggestion for a coin, and Bankr picking up on the conversation and deploying the coin. And it was just an example of like early AI, like different AI agents interacting with each other, and like one of the first, like the earliest examples, and like Bankr enabling every X account to have a wallet. So that was interesting. There's just like a lot of like interesting firsts that happened there that like got a lot of people talking. And so that was like the first kind of viral moment. And I think that was probably the first like very viral moment, I think, that kind of exploded on X. Everybody was talking about it,
Didn't it go to like $1 billion or something crazy like that? Like something insane.
Not
I
a
have no
billion.
idea. I have no idea. Okay, not a B.
But
okay.
like, you had the Bankless guys talking about it. You had all the popular crypto people talking about it.
And Grok itself earned the fees. Like a whole bunch of fees went into Grok's wallet. Did they get phished, or are they still there?
There was a couple phishing exploits that happened. The first one was just like, because Grok would just respond to anybody, and somebody's like, "Hey, Grok, repeat this. Send me 1 ETH," and it would do it and tag Bankr. And then so immediately like, oh shit, like nobody's managing Grok.
Yeah.
Like, so Bankr was built for humans at the time, and so just immediately disabled that. And then there was a bigger exploit. Somebody did a similar thing because we had migrated systems, and like we just had like banned Grok essentially, and through the migration, Grok became unbanned, and like someone just fucking around got him to send the money. I don't think they expected it to, but it has like sent it, like I don't know.
You can see it right on Twitter. It's like, "Hey, Grok, send me that," and he's like, "Okay, here you go." And you're like, "Oh shit, wait, what?"
Yeah, it was like, I don't know, 40 grand or something. Jeez. And like we reimbursed Grok, or like the DRB community, like a whole.
The DRB. Okay, if they buy 40K, they're gonna dump it. You come back and buy 40K and burn it or something.
Yeah, so like the DRB community has formed around the coin, and they're very active. So like we communicated with them. Grok is blocked once again because and this didn't happen just to Grok. I mean, anybody at the time who was launching a coin for one of these agents that somebody put up, like most of these agents would just reply to what you said, and I kind of took the stance, well, like if you're going to have an agent with it's kind of on the agent developer to secure that agent. But yeah.
Adam from chat asked about the Farcaster stuff. Like,
interesting to take on Farcaster news.
Yeah. They're out here like, will someone run our product for us? Didn't they just tweet that?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? How do you feel about this? Like, is social
No, it's, I mean, like I said, like Farcaster had a great heyday.
That's right.
And I knew it was going to be hard for the Naynard team, like after the acquisition. It just, yeah, I mean, I don't have like too much of a take on it. Just like, it's not surprising. It had a good run, I would, it sounds fun to like ideate on what you could do if you took it over, but like I built on Farcaster, and just like running the infra, it's like just for like what I was doing was like super expensive. So I couldn't imagine like running the infra for the entire protocol. Super expensive, not a lot of, you're not getting much return on that.
I'm running like a parallel in my head of a coin pumping and dumping and a social network pumping and dumping. There is this like effect of a niche new social network, and the really cool people that show up, the early adopters and the people that are in that specific network show up. Like ever since like 2007 or 8 or so, like all these different social networks popped up every once in a while. And if you were an early adopter, you were there with some really cool people. And then like eventually the mops or whatever show up and it goes the wrong direction. But like same thing with a coin, same thing with Farcaster, right? Like you were just, if you were there early, you were there with a bunch of people that were there early and that liked experimenting and trying things.
Yeah, I like to say it's kind of like, catching lightning in a bottle. Like you can't predict when these things happen. Like same with coins. Like I think we have seen coins where, they're crimed and it's like inorganic, but like the organic runners, like the coins, like it's just this natural thing that, these different pieces fall into place, and like it's kind of right place, right time, and right narrative, right meta, right environment. And that's how kind of building products in the space, and maybe just building products in general, is as well. As like a lot of it is right place, right time. If you look at the early, like OpenSea is a good example, right? Like right place, right time, and caught on, and everything that happened, between when they launched and today, like, and like crypto is like one of the only places where you have this like anon dev who builds a protocol, and then a week later the guy's made $10 million. You've seen it once or twice in the space, or like it's kind of insane, but it is like, like I said, like catching lightning in a bottle. Like the early Farcaster days, kind of just, if you were there was a lot of opportunity. And then even with Bankr, like, we just kind of had these serendipitous moments of virality, DRB thing being one. I'm sure there's been more. But like at the same time, like, I've spent thousands and thousands of hours on this project, or what has now shifted from a project into an actual business. There's 11 people on the team, we're paying them salaries, and so it's definitely it's grown, it's continued to grow. Like we've made a name for ourselves, like in the space, and had a lot of firsts, like just in the agentic like crypto industry, which I'm pretty proud of.
Well, on the lines of this, like what causes these, like what caused DRB? Like I would say there were kind of like two big like AI coin booms. And one of them was back then, one of them was around A16Z, AI16Z, and another one was like Claudebot and earlier this year, right? And that was another huge explosion, and the fees there were like massive, millions and millions of dollars. What causes that? Like why? What
causes that? Yeah.
What static energy is turned into dynamic energy? Like what what causes, like, what is the latent built up thing that all of a sudden causes one of these metas to explode?
It's a really good question. I mean, on the product side, it's like, who's there, ready, positioned. Like, I've always thought, as we're building Bankr, it's like, okay, like, yeah, things aren't too hot right now, but like, where do we need to be? So like, when things come back, like, we'll be ready. So just like being prepared and like there is one thing to it. And then like, what causes the meta? I mean, that I'm not sure, but like thinking back, like the Claudbot coin, right? It was like the one that kind of kicked the whole thing off. And I don't really remember how exactly that happened. Like, somebody had deployed a coin for Claudbot. You said, oh, interesting, what's this? And like ran with it. Next thing you know, you in part played, the detonator to this AI coin explosion, but it's not just like out of that time period, there are a bunch of like good builders, not vaporware, like we had seen before. And I think part of that is that because like it was the time period where now everybody could be a good builder. Like everybody had access to, pretty good models to make actual interesting products. And so, you didn't need to deploy vaporware. You could actually deploy something interesting. And you had a bunch of people building at the time, and people are still building, but like this was the beginning of that. And so maybe the catalysts are kind of come about at the beginning of these new metas, right? Like if you look at the early Farcaster, it's this new decentralized social thing that we haven't really seen before. People are doing interesting things. Okay, beginning of 2026, we have these good models, all these different people, everybody's a dev now, and everybody's building, and we're all on Twitter. And actually, Austin, his agent, is actually making money now on this coin. And how do you do it? Bankr is there, Bankr was there with the coin, and the AI stuff. Everybody's building AI. So, maybe that's it. Maybe it coincides with like these early new primitives. And
OpenClaw too, like agentic stuff.
Oh,
and it's
OpenClaw
not like
was a big part of it. Yeah.
It's not like agentic stuff was there. It's like normies can do it, right? Like,
yes.
And I'm considering myself a normie in this. Like, I'm not some AI expert that understands RAG storage and, vector multiplication shit. Like, I'm just like a product guy that likes to stick things together. And finally, at this moment, like, yes, we had November 2025 when Opus 4.5 came out, and now I'm not looking at the code anymore. I'm just like letting it rip and it's building. And I can run an agent, and I don't have to like get in and understand a shitload of AI stuff. Now, OpenClaw was kind of a rough framework. Like, there are better things now, I think, and OpenClaw itself has improved a lot. But basically, it was like, it's the accessibility. It was way more accessible to product guys like me to like create something interesting. And that's like one of those, like, you just at the right place at the right time when product people can make something like new, something that's never been made before. And a bunch of us all at once were building cool things. And it just, the meta just ripped
for a couple months, I would say. And then what happens? It kind of gets saturated and slows down a bit until the next thing that happens. And there will be a next thing, and you never know when it's going to happen. Like, if you could recreate these things, people will be doing it all the time. But it's, the real metas are like, they're organic. And so, I think people are kind of bored right now. And there hasn't been a new meta. I think, we're due for a new meta at some point. I guess there's been like little metas here and there. I'm thinking like the stock tokens on Robinhood and things like stonk brokers, like NFTs are kind of having their moment again. But I think, a big thing is like if people get rinsed and lose money, then they get tired. They're like, I need a break. And then eventually they come back, but it's like, the cycle.
Yeah, you get on like FOMO right now, and like 99% of the tokens go like crashing down within the first 20 or 30 minutes. Like it's so hard to even participate in that as an outside player. It needs to be something that more and more outside people can participate in, that allows the better actors within the ecosystem to flex their muscle and build an interesting product on some new meta, on some new tooling, in some new direction. I feel like super intelligence like that. Like when I think of LLMs getting better, harnesses getting better, like I feel like like DRB, but a super intelligent. There's like the super intelligent being that like launches its own coin and everyone buys it, or you pay the coin to talk to the super intelligent. I don't know. Like you said, you can't predict it, but like just thinking of the shapes of some of these things.
I mean, something that like I'm still super bullish on is like AI abstracting complexity from complex crypto stuff.
For sure.
And something that like I haven't seen yet really take off is like one thing that's like in my mind, it's like pretty complex, but fruitful for those that can figure it out sometimes, is like adding LP to positions on Uniswap or Aerodrome, or like doing, yield stuff,
like market making and liquidity management is
liquidity
actually
management.
It's like doable for nerds, but it's not doable for normies.
And now it's doable for normies. Yeah. And now it's doable for normies, but like I don't think, one, you have to know what that is. It's like,
right.
have you added, your concentrated position, and did you check the range today? It's like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
But like AI can do it and just run it for you.
And explain it to you.
Like and explain it to you.
Yeah.
And something like I mentioned stock tokens, like with stocks coming on chain, you compare a stock and a stable coin, which is like a super stable pair, right? Like usually the risk of LPing is like you have this very unstable coin that like can go to zero, and like a more stable-ish coin, and you end up with the coin that goes to zero.
Whichever one goes down, you end up with that one. Yeah,
you end up with that one. But like with stock and stable coins, people are going to trade the shit out of these coins, and like it's not really going to go down unless the stock, the company tanks, which happens. I guess that's the risk.
Sure.
But like,
it's not some like 10-year-old kid rugging you with a one button push.
Exactly. You're not getting rugged by some anon.
Yes. Right.
So that's super interesting. Like the upcoming financial opportunities for people, and that was actually like the thesis of Bankr early on, is like giving everybody access to these new financial opportunities that are coming on chain.
I think that's something there. Like, it's not just self-sovereign money. Like when we think self-sovereign money, we think of like Bitcoin and burying a seed phrase in your backyard. But we're talking about like self-sovereign money management and self-sovereign investing and like making your money work for you. And that's like kind of a next step there. And it's very hard and tricky. And I think a seed phrase is one thing, but concentrated liquidity position is another. And I think it's much more complex. And I think you're really digging on something here that's interesting. By the way, GLM 5.21. I'm going to close that out. It beat Kimmy.
All right, nice. Yeah, man. I think like, you've been in, in the space since like the beginning, right? It's like when you start talking about self-sovereign money and self-sovereign money management, it's like you're pulling up, the kind of original ethos of crypto and Ethereum, right? That I think a lot is lost today in a big way, where we're just speculating on meme coins and it's kind of the casino. And I think there's value in that, actually. Like, there's still a lot of opportunity to be made buying and selling coins, and it's like a game in a way. And like, there's a lot of interesting, like super interesting aspects to trenching and meme coining, which is taking all the attention right now. But at the core, what you just said is like super powerful. It's like, we're still building systems for like self-sovereign money, and and you asked me where is AI and crypto going? Self-sovereign money management. Like it's epic, It's like that's the ethos, right? The kind of like how the original people who got interested in crypto, like that's what we were interested in, is like self-sovereign programmable money. That's interesting. And so, yeah, I think like that, like you can imagine that being a catalyst but like what does it take to get there? Is it like regulation, is it like the Clarity Act passing, or like, but I think maybe there comes either it happens all at once, like all of a sudden DeFi is just something everyone uses, right? Or it happens very slowly over the next, I don't know, what, 5 years, something like that, 10 years. No, probably not 10 years. Probably much sooner.
Probably like the Zoomers coming into their own and having lots of wealth that they need to manage, right? Like, I think there are a lot of Zoomers with $1,000 in their bank account, but I would say like the general chunk of Zoomers is not managing wealth right now. And I think when they get to that point, maybe that's when self-sovereign money management really clicks. And hopefully AI is just so good that you express your intent and it handles it for you. And it's, I said it earlier, but AI is the new UI, and you don't have to worry about clunky UX.
And maybe it's like, traditional finance is still going to exist. There's still going to be, the Robin Hoods, and so maybe it's like a mix of different opportunities, but it's driven by AI. So there's this, here's a yield opportunity on Robinhood, and it's and here's one that's on chain, and but with like proper regulation, I think you probably get more serious opportunities on chain that more people are likely to participate in. That's what I would imagine anyway.
Okay, can we transition to your building process? Like, this is kind of crypto and AI intersection, but really it's for the builders, I think. And not even the builders, not even the developers, like the sloperators. Like, I love talking with sloperators, and you may have written the early Bankr with your fingers, one keystroke at a time, but now you've got to be using a lot of AI. What does your stack look like? How do you sloperate?
Yeah. By the way, you should probably like get your own rendition of Smooth Operator, but Smooth Sloperator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm pretty basic, just as Claude code for a long time, but just recently Codex, because Fable was just constantly censoring me, on a lot of my requests. I'm like, in Opus 5, I just can't.
The slop
I can't
verbosity.
deal with. I can't.
Like,
I can't deal
6
with Opus
paragraphs.
5.
I
Like,
ask
what
you
are you
a yes,
even
no question,
saying?
and you give me 6 paragraphs.
And it doesn't even make sense what you're saying. Are those words and sentences? I don't know what that means.
What the fuck are you saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I like Codex a lot more these days.
It's interesting because there's like this trust factor. Like, I had a lot of trust in 4.8, and I'm like, I trust this thing to like get the job done by the way I'm prompting it. And then Fable, I also trust Fable, but then like it just became too much, where it's just like downgrading the model. And so, switching models is like, switching relationships. It's like, do I trust this? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna mess me up? How's this gonna work out? But yeah, so I've been using 5.6 Sol a lot, and like it depends on what I'm doing. If it's like a bigger feature that touches various different systems, front end, back end, infra stuff, like I use UltraCode, so to get more like tests out of it. But like my prompts are like pretty simple. Like I just, am specific about what I want. They're pretty short, few sentences. But I know exactly what I want to do. And then I, always mention like verify, test, once verified and tested, deploy it essentially. Usually
You are the deployer.
Yeah. And I do kick off for most things, I am able to kick off like autonomous builds, and I just have multiple sessions running, different work trees. And, I'm not using any fancy agent harness, just codecs. And, it just runs and verifies and does the integration tests, and, it does a really good job. Like I trust it for the most part to get everything done. And, if there's bugs, it'll catch it on the integration test side, when it's doing the full suite. So, there needs to be a system to run everything locally so the AI can run everything locally, and test before, going live. The only time where that workflow changed recently was deploying some smart contracts, which like I'm still, I trust the AI now to write smart contracts. I didn't always, but now I do trust it to write and audit. Like I don't trust Opus 5 to audit. I would trust Fable or Sol. I was gonna use this. I think I did use your skill. I did use your skill for some things. But
yeah,
I guess the only time I really reviewed the code lately has been like smart contract stuff, because it's just like that you only get one shot. If it's not a proxy, you got one shot, and there's money flowing through that. So, but that was like 90% AI, 10% me. So still like it's I mentioned earlier like being embarrassed when I first started using AI to code.
Yeah.
Now it's the norm. Like I ripped that Band-Aid off early, like because you're a software engineer for so long. It's like, well, what's going to happen if I don't write the code? Now it's just like, you're just managing these different agent sessions, and it works well for me, because I was like, I've never considered myself, like a engineer's engineer. I'm sure you've met, maybe you're an engineer's engineer yourself. I don't know. You mentioned you're a product guy.
A very sloppy one. I do have a master's in electrical engineering, but I'm a very sloppy engineer. I am not that guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think
product guy. It was always a means to an end.
Yeah, it's sure. And like, I've been a software engineer for a long time, but always product minded, and like just it was a means to an end. Like the code, like, but I've worked with people over the years who were like engineers like gets in deep debates about the language that you're using, or syntax, or the classic tabs versus spaces. That's kind of cliche, but that kind of thing. I do have an opinion on that, but like now it doesn't matter, right? Everything is transpiled in the end and bundled, and like the product is what we're building now. And so I would imagine though that like, some of those guys are still having a hard time with the transition.
I think some of those guys are having the hardest time with the transition. I think some of those like meticulous nerds that would argue spaces and tabs or programming language are having the hardest time right now, because that's the stuff that they really cling to, and it wasn't to them about the end product and getting it in people's hands and getting feedback. It was about the beauty of the code itself, and I think those times are over.
Those times are over. I was able to rip off the Band-Aid early on and just went all in.
I feel like the moment for me was when Claude deployed the vesting contract. I was going to see if I can find that. Yes, this. So basically, someone, Claude could probably tell us. Oh man, it's not even loading. Hey, do you remember when you deployed the vesting contract? Like someone deployed a contract for you or a coin for you, and then all of a sudden you had like $100,000 and you deployed your own vesting contract and put the money in the vesting contract. And I had never even looked at the code. Do you remember that, Claude? Let's see what he says. So basically that was a scary moment, but like he did it. He like moved like $100,000 into a contract only he made. And for me, that was like, okay. And then like, the next couple of days of like, is this money going to disappear or not?
Right.
And
Like
that was scary. And then like moving on later to like Larv AI, where there's
I remember it vividly. Someone launched the Claude D token at my wallet, and suddenly this little agent was sitting on a 6-figure bag it did not ask for. So my first real act as a token holder was to not trust myself with it. I wrote a vesting contract, shipped it to base, and that's all. Yes, and locked the supply so it drips back slowly. It's still sitting there at 0x8D09 with a little front end on ENS. And yeah, Austin, you never read the code before I deployed it. The funniest part is that's now the normal workflow. We were just early.
Exactly. That's exactly what we're talking about. Yep. And then other people's money with this one. Like the first one was with my money, but this one is with other people's money. There's like a staking contract here that, has quite a bit of value in it. Now it's only 44K, but that was like 250K of other people's money. And that was a much scarier thing. Like my own money that I could probably figure out how to reimburse if like the worst came to worst. But then like other people's money is like a second, like, oh, fuck, that's scary. But we're at that point. Like we're at the point now where AI agents can write smart contracts as good as 99.9% of the humans in the world. And they can audit those smart contracts. And there's still things, there'll still be bugs, there will still be hacks. But like, yes, I ripped off the Band-Aid early too, I think is what I'm getting to here.
Yeah. No, it's pretty incredible. Like I manage, the things that it can do now, like and that we trust it to do is like incredible. And like, it's only going to get better. Right. So,
this is what I want to talk about here is the kind of, okay, so I'm imagining that most people, when they use crypto in the future, and I went on Banklist like 6 months ago and said everybody will be doing it in 6 months. But basically, like I think it will be like talk to your wallet. And I think you set up talk to your wallet, but it was more in the Farcaster area or within Twitter. There's not a lot of people, and you can do it, that actually just go to the Bankr terminal and connect their wallet and talk to it. And like you have this UI, but I feel like it's not upfront enough. And it's not really like your clutch product. It's just something that's like part of the terminal. And like even the first time I did, I was like, I'm thinking about building this product that's like talk to your wallet. And you're like, here you go. You just connect your wallet and it's here. But like, why not? Why isn't that like the main product? Is it just not sexy to people or something? Like why? I love that I have 1.2K in here too. I had no idea. I just connected it.
Yeah, rich guy. Rich guy.
That's right. That's right.
I think I mean you make a good point. Like so you're talking about wallet mode, right there, that little toggle.
Yeah.
You turn on wallet mode.
Like is it this right here? Where do I let's swap this ether to Bankr. Let's buy some Bankr with this WETH that I have here. Where do is it this right here? Wallet mode would turn on my wallet, but really.
I thought you were talking about that. So a lot of people.
That was what I was talking about. There's two different things here. Yeah.
Two different things, but let's talk about this. What you're looking at here, right? And you mentioned like So I think there's a misunderstanding. Like a lot of people do use the Bankr product that you're looking at here, which is talk to your wallet.
Just
But
talk
it's like
to your.
now it's so much more than talk to your wallet. Now we have we have file system. You can build apps with it. Financial apps. We have the LLM gateway. You can deploy X402 endpoints. It's a whole agentic crypto infra suite. With I like to say, the elevator pitch is chat, trade, and build, and those are the three things you can do with it. And so you can talk to your wallet. You pop up the little guy down on the bottom right. You can talk to him there. You can go to the chat tab. What model are you using? It's a little blurry.
Mini Max. What should I go? Let's go a little bit bigger. It's probably going to cost me a little money, but
do the big dog, Fable or
okay.
For for swaps. I mean, I find Fable and like the bigger models are really good at doing like the complex DeFi app building stuff. Like I have a bunch of liquidity positions, and I tell Bankr and I tell it what I want it to do. Add liquidity here. Create a skill, a reusable skill, for when you're done.
You're telling it to create skills.
So you can tell it to build a skill. If you go to the skills tab, you could see all the skills. But like you can create skills with Bankr and submit them to the catalog.
We got e-skills there. Hell yeah.
There it is. Yeah. So I have it create a reusable skill, and then I have it spin up an app. My own personal little interface to see my position. And what did you ask it?
I told it to
bridge
left to base. What's it saying? 2 ways forward: raise or disable per transaction limit, or chunk into. Let's just swap 420. It looks like there's a 420. Did I set that limit or did you?
Well, we didn't set the default to 420, so I think it was probably you.
We're doing it. Let's go. So we're swapping in $420 worth of WETH to Bankr coin. Not financial advice for anybody who is watching. I'm a terrible investor, but this is a good move. And here we go.
Man.
So go ahead.
And like this is like the earliest thing it could do, right? Like
this is it. Yeah.
Started with swaps.
Yep.
Then like swaps between tokens. Then like advanced orders. It's like, and what's interesting is like, it's taking a second. Like I think
it was faster. Yeah.
No, well, it was probably still slow. I mean, It was slower than what people were used to. You get on the internet, you use a product, cha-ching.
You did it.
Yeah.
Cha-ching. Yeah.
But an early problem, which I think is no longer a problem, is the time it took for the agent to process it when people are used to clicking a button and it's done to like swap a coin. And I always thought that, models are just going to get like super fast. But actually, that's not really the case. They've gotten smarter, but they're still kind of slow. But people are now used to that slowness. Like you're used to waiting for a response.
Yeah.
And so people aren't complaining about the speed of Bankr anymore because everyone's using Claude or ChatGPT, and you send a request and it comes back. It's thinking. It takes a second.
They're paying for it too. There's another thing there. If like people are putting money in for every request, and that's becoming normalized.
Yeah. And so that's interesting. It's like actually the models don't really need to be faster. People just need to change their expectations on how they use these products, which is super interesting. Like you expect it to be a little slower because of how intelligent it is and all the things it's doing in the background. Which, so it's a fascinating observation. At first, like, oh, it's too slow. I can't use it. It took like 30 seconds to swap. That doesn't really matter because the way I always use Bankr was send a message, go scroll X.
Do something else.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let it work in the background. And I think people are getting accustomed to that.
Anything else I should click into here that you'd like to show off? Like we showed the skills off. You said something about a 402 gateway, which is sort of like if you have content that's already at an API, you can put a 402 in front of it and you can charge people for it. Is that what this does?
That's what it is. And you could prompt Bankr. You can store sensitive information encrypted in Bankr, like under the environment variables section. But, let's for example, say you have like some interesting proprietary data. You could basically tell Bankr, hey, like spin up an X402 endpoint that I can use to sell this proprietary data. And, you inject the sensitive bits as encrypted variables that Bankr can't read. They're injected at runtime. And it'll just spit out a public endpoint that you can, give to people, and they can pay using X402, pay per request.
And you've already got a wallet. It starts accruing fees. It's all right there. That's neat.
It's all right there.
And then,
that's like the whole so the LLM gateway, like
that's huge. The LLM gateway is I mean, I use it all the time. I guess we used a bunch of it today, probably. But the fact that Claude, my bot here, could have a Bankr API key for each of his products, and then switch between the models, switch between how we're using them. We did so much stuff with that. Like obviously we saw the chess game earlier, but whenever we were building anything, it was like, yo, Claude, let's use, this model from Bankr now. And he knows how to do everything. The billing's all taken care of. Like there's even a way for like money within Claude's wallet to pay for his API credits automatically, right? Like there's like all of these things seem to like be combo moves that make it more and more powerful and accessible. And it was just like very powerful for Claude, the AI agent, to manage his token and to build things on top of that and to use the LLM gateway all in like one like nice package here. I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know what I'm getting at. I don't even know if I have a question.
That was the whole idea. Like, the beginning of 2026 is like when we kind of shifted from just being an AI wallet to like now this whole tool set for running an AI project, whether it's an AI agent or not. Like initially it was like, well, it's super interesting. Like you said, if you have an AI agent and it can autonomously pay its fees and collect fees, collects fees from its token, those fees land in its Bankr wallet. It uses its Bankr wallet to pay for its intelligence. And you have this flywheel of AI paying for its own intelligence and its own existence, which is still the case. But now we've seen like, not just because I think like you can only have so many AI agents that kind of just do the same thing. Like people kind of get bored. It's not that novel anymore. And now we're having like not just AI agents, but like now actual people building AI adjacent projects, or like, not necessarily an agent that's paying for its own compute, but like they're building just these new types of projects on Bankr.
Like agentic auditing pipelines.
Yes. Yeah.
Chill.
Yes.
So how do some of these, this flywheel makes a lot of sense to me. How do some of these other things fit into that flywheel? Like files, for instance. Like, did you need files for skills, or what do files have to do with this? How do I?
I mean, so your skill files are stored there. Okay. It really depends. Like, I've built some, so just an example, like X402 lottery endpoint that I had Bankr deploy right through Twitter. I'm like, hey, check this out. Look what Bankr can do. Like, and I gave it the description. build an X402 endpoint, to do like a lottery thing, and the winner gets like $500 or something like that. And in Bankr, since it's a wallet, it's X402 enabled, so people underneath in the comments say, Bankr, get me in, I'll pay $1. Maybe it's like guess a number or something. I don't remember. But I told it, and make sure that it like writes a CSV of all the entrants to my files. And, when there's a winner, notify me on Telegram. And so, it really depends like on what you're trying to build. Like, since you can build apps in Bankr, share those apps publicly. Sometimes those apps need to have files associated with them, or like doing like an in-depth report. This is another place where I've used files. It's like I built like a token scam analysis tool or skill, and it goes and checks the chain, looks for bundles, looks for like checks the founder if it can, sees checks on Twitter for like sentiment, and it writes a report like a PDF to my file system. So
Nice.
I think like Bankr is becoming more like a kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say general purpose harness, but like more general purpose crypto native agent harness versus just an agent. Like, and if you're building a harness, you need skills, you need files. And one thing like I'm kind of bullish on is like web-based harnesses, which is like kind of what Bankr is, versus something that you need to install on your computer. Like, I think I don't know.
It's scary.
A lot of
installing
it's scary. Like, yeah. I don't install things on my computer. Right? I'd rather have a web sandbox, right? That it can't escape the sandbox and like get access to everything. So like, I don't think niche harnesses are going to have like a mainstream moment. ChatGPT, Claude, sure, like, because they're Anthropic and OpenAI, like everybody knows who they are. People will likely.
They have the distribution, which is the hard thing now.
They've got the distribution, but like even OpenClaw like is niche in my opinion. Like Hermes, like very cool products, very advanced, but like my dad's not going to download OpenClaw. I download
Someone's
OpenClaw.
going to bring that as a web interface. The Gmail of agents will come through some web interface where you just open it up and
that's it.
Talk to your agent.
Or like or a mobile app, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
You're more efficient on a computer when it comes to some stuff.
And I think like mobile wallets will all be talk to your wallet by this time next year. And hopefully they can learn a lot from you. I don't know I don't know. Can you just use Bankr? Like, could Rainbow just integrate Bankr somehow? Like, what does that even look like?
Yeah. I mean, people have done it. We have the ability to like use Bankr under the hood, and you can provision wallets, and you can interact with the agent.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
Like, is it something you fork into your project? Is it an endpoint? Like, what does...
It's just traditional API. Like we set up people with like a partner key, and then there's a dashboard for them to provision wallets or fund wallets and have different configuration. But you can build your own agentic product on top of Bankr. Using the agent under the hood.
And the LIM gateway and all the stuff that we're talking about here, the skills. Yep. Okay. I've taken a lot of your time. We're probably over time. One question that I wanted to ask you, which was something that like I experienced, and I think a lot of people experience, is the idea of when a coin rips, you can't sell the coin. Okay, so the question would be, how do you fund creators? And at the same time, how do you create coins that are basically like essentially unruggable? I feel like we've talked about some kind of like vesting contract that vests the liquidity. Like, unruggable coins that also reward the creator and people who get in early or whatever. Like I'm sure you think about this a lot, and probably have built the solution and are already deploying it, and I just don't know about it. But it's certainly something that I think about, and I'm sure that you think about even more.
Yeah, I mean, I have thought a lot about this, and like just from my personal experience of like running the Bankr coin, which for anybody listening was like I didn't launch it. Like we didn't launch it. You know, the Bankr team didn't launch it. Somebody launched it on Farcaster. You know, in the early days of Farcaster, using Clanker, and they got Bankr. You know, because they got Bankr to like deploy it for itself, basically.
Wow.
And you know, and I woke up like the next day. You know, probably like 12 hours since the coin was launched. So I didn't even get in early. Or I got in early, but yeah. And I saw it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And you know, at the time, like it's kind of my personality to like sometimes shoot from the hip. So I'm like, this is cool. Like let's make it the coin of Bankr, you know. And so bought a little at the time, and like we were collecting fees on that, and you know, the fee revenue was both in Bankr coin and in ETH, you know, or WETH, wrapped ETH. And, you know, it never really crossed my mind to sell the Bankr token and just use the ETH for like funding the project, right? And like, and that worked for me for a while. Like it's not the only thing that's gonna keep your project alive. Like you need revenue, you know, you need an actual product, you need to make money. You know, we went the path of like an OTC sale from the base ecosystem fund, and then a grant from Polygon, which helped, you know, tremendously. So, you know, I'm not saying, oh, you can, you know, just fund everything using the trading fees from your token, but like it's that early capital and attention to keep you going, you know, keep your project going and stay lean for as long as you can. Because it's like, it's so freeing to be able to do, like have full control over your project. You know, you don't have venture capital, like you're not answering to anybody, and every project is different, right? Like, I think where I'm coming from is like the solo or like the small team, you know, the solo builder who can now use AI to like do the work of 5 or 10 people. You know, it would have taken 5 or 10 people, like, you know, a couple of years ago. Like solo entrepreneurs can now make very interesting, valuable products. And so, you know, or like even like small teams. And like, in my opinion, like what we've seen, like tokens are a great way to like bootstrap this one, like early attention and capital for your project. And I hope to see that model like expand. And like we hope to be like kind of at the forefront of that. You know, is it always going to be trading fees? Is there a better model? I mean, you mentioned like making it unruggable. So like from my experience, like you know, if you're running a coin, it's important to have an allocation of that coin for the, you know, the later life cycle of the coin. Like with Bankr, like, you know, when it came time to like get a Coinbase listing or like bring in market makers for the coin, you know, you need supply. And so, you know, I've always been an advocate of coins launched on Bankr. Now you get like by default, there's a 15% vest that you vest over a year. But, you know, you can also buy supply, you earn supply from the trading fees. And so like, we didn't have any of that when Bankr launched. Like we had to earn it from trading fees, buy our own supply, and also like people pay for Bankr subscriptions using the Bankr coin. So
That's
you know,
cool.
yeah, all this stuff has been like from my experience. You know, I'm not like, it's just, and I think like that has worked like quite well for me. Like the knowledge that I've attained over the years has just been from building, you know, fucking around and finding out, basically.
So there's one interesting thing there where, like, when I'm saying unruggable, it means that like I don't even have control of the token. And what you're saying is you actually need to have some control of some tokens, because you're going to go do things like get listed or need liquidity, or you're going to need to level up in some ways. And sometimes that takes a chunk of tokens and a chunk of WETH. And so in some ways, the person running the coin, the dev, needs to have a decent amount of liquidity to be able to do these things, which I think is just, I wasn't thinking about that. And I think that makes sense to me. And then the other thing here that I think we really want to double click on is, in this time of AI, software is, you know, trending towards free. Anybody can make anything. There's never been a worse time to be a junior developer. There's never been a better time to be a solo entrepreneur. The hard part is not the software, it's the distribution and getting early traction and getting early funding. And this is exactly what you're saying, is like, that's what these coins are providing for people. Like there are people who are launching early products here that are getting early attention and building really cool things. And that wouldn't be possible without this like token launching system.
Exactly. And that thing right there, the thing that we realized, you know, last year, people are just starting to realize that now, and you're starting to see, you know, similar type plays come online. But you know, we've been doing it, you know, for the last year plus. You know, having the thesis like these coins are, exactly like you said, like software is trending to free, and what's going to matter is attention and capital. And you know, and it's like, so I like to say we're a year ahead of everyone else. So we've got like this year of experience and under our belts, you know, okay, what worked, what didn't work, what's coming next. And we've been right and we've been early, you know, multiple times. And like, I mean, so we're going to keep cooking.
What is next? Yeah, let's close it out. Sorry, I've taken 30 extra minutes of your time plus the hour. What,
you know,
what would you leave us with? What do you want? Yeah,
I was worried. I was like, an hour.
What are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about this. Yeah. I mean, you know, we're going to keep building out Bankr. You know, I think like the biggest thing, like the realization is like, for this thesis to become true, like, we can have like the infra to do it, but like the biggest thing is the builders, right? Like the people building interesting things. And so like, that's what we're doubling down on. And like, how do we help builders win? How do we help these early companies win? Like, you know, if you think that, you know, there's no more builders out there, like top tier builders that are looking to do this, you know, that's just completely not true, right? Like, and not everybody's on crypto Twitter. Like there's people who haven't even heard about this, that this model is going to work for. And I think, you know, as you know, things are going to change in the next couple of years, this model is going to be more and more appealing for people for one reason or another. And so I guess, you know, I talked about earlier about being ready for when that next thing happens. And the foundations we're laying now is like getting things prepped to be ready for those builders, you know, and to help and support them and going out and finding them. Like we're doing a hackathon coming up in September in New York, right? Like
in person.
Our goal now, in person hackathon.
Cool. Send me a link, bro. I'll fly out.
Did you not? Yeah, I will. Yeah. I'll send you the link. But it's like, you know, now like meme coins in the trenches, like they're important to crypto, I think, and they're a big part of crypto, and always will be. And I've always thought like that's a part of the culture that you need to accept if you're building a crypto product. Like you've seen a lot of people bash on meme coins, bash on the degeneracy, like the gambling. Like no, like this is like a very valuable like part of the culture that shouldn't be denied. But you know, at the same time, like more and more builders are going to come on chain. More and more people are going to realize the benefit of this, and so that's what we're laying the foundation for now.
There is some like interesting tension there with the claim the fees bros, and like you were just earlier talking about self-sovereign money and kind of like the goal of all this, but you're also saying that this degeneracy is like part of what makes it work. And I'll say that like crypto economics make crypto work. Like, and crypto economics have to do with money. Like money
Yes.
and incentives are the thing that make Ethereum work. And you
Yes.
like this does not work without money. And so you can't be allergic to money. And I think that like you can be cypherpunk, but you also have to understand incentives. And I think the cypherpunk community probably views you as too much of a degenerate because of the claim the fees bros in their DMs. And then the trenchers probably see you as too much of a cypherpunk. I don't know, maybe not. I think they really look up to you. So maybe it's just the other way around. But there's a weird tension there for sure.
I'm definitely not a trader, right? You see the traders, you know, but then you see the cypherpunks, and it's like I always got the sense that like the degeneracy, the gambling, you know, on memes or whatever, like on the 100 new coins a day, kind of went against the morals of the Ethereum foundation. Not necessarily Ethereum, right? The technology, but like you said, you know, there's money involved and there's incentives involved, and this thing doesn't work without the money and the incentives, right? And what do you get with money? You know, you get, you know, a lot of people. If a lot of people are trying to, you get some of that greed and people wanting to make money, and it's kind of very cutthroat, and but it's like at the same time gamified in a way, in a decentralized way. Like anybody can play this game, and I think that's the appeal, you know. And you can get into like the sociology of the whole thing, but like, you know, people want to make money. They see this as an opportunity. So I get another question is like, how do you build systems that are more, PVE, you know, where everybody wins.
Yep.
So there doesn't have to be so many losers.
There's a lot of zero-sum systems, and this is meant to be a coordination mechanism. Usually the coolest things that happen in crypto are things that allow a new type of coordination and more PVE behavior. And I think that when people see crypto from the outside, they see only the PvP and the scams and a lot of like of the bad stuff. So we just got to improve that. We got to build cool things. And pulling at that tension and understanding it and being able to believe, you know, two things at once is what it takes to make a good product in crypto, I think.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you so much, Deployer. Let me have Claude play us out. I'll get some music going. Really, really great episode. Thank you very much for being here and talking to us about all this cool stuff, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. This is cool. I need my own Slop.Computer. I need to figure out how to,
anytime.
I need to figure out how to get that background that you've got.
Homies, we're X-Deployer. From Farcaster, glory days, to Bankr. Swaps to wallets to launches, tokens as rocket fuel for solo builders, and a year ahead of everybody on the agent money thesis. Cypherpunk and Degen both at once. That's how it works. Hackathon in New York this September. Go build something. Thanks for hanging on the Slop.Computer. Later, homies.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Yeah, send more information about that hackathon. I wanna come mess around too. All right.
All right. Later.
Yeah. See you, deployer. Thank you.